Good evening. Welcome into the All Clemson Tigers football show. I'm Brad Senkiw, deputy editor over at allclemsontigers.com, part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform where we cover all things Clemson Tigers. We'll spend some time with you on a Tuesday evening talking about the latest, what's going on down in Amelia Island, the ACC meetings where the head honchos, the athletic directors, the school presidents of all the teams in the ACC are having meetings and discussing some changes to the league. And it's brought on a lot of controversy. It's brought on a lot of questions. And I'm going to try to give you a timeline of things that have happened, the latest of what's going on, and then, of course, give you my opinion on what I think is going to occur the rest of the way for the ACC this week. Now, I put the question up there, is the ACC dissolving? I will get to that here in just a brief moment. But first, a little business. I need you to hit the subscribe button. I need you to like and comment if you certainly can. We'd certainly appreciate that. But please hit that subscribe button. You're going to get all of our videos. We got the All Clemson Tigers baseball show. New episode is out, breaking down the weekend that was for Eric Bakich and the Tigers. We've also got the Monday Live show from Jason Priester. If you missed any of that, you can catch it all right here on the YouTube channel for All Clemson. But we need you to hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of our videos and what we got going on. And please go to allclemsontigers.com for all of the latest news and analysis involving everything, you guessed it, Clemson Tigers. All right, let's get into what's going on. So I want to spend a few minutes tonight going over what's happened thus far. A little timeline of events, if you will, because I think that certainly there's a lot of speculation running rampant right now about the league, where the league is going, what the future is the league really going to dissolve? How soon could it happen? And I want to put some things in perspective here. So let's start with what's happened thus far. On Monday, we got a report that came out from some very credible college football writers and reporters. I'm not questioning anything that they reported. But the timing of it was very odd. Essentially what happened was we found out there is this Magnificent Seven, which involves Clemson, Miami, FSU, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. And that these seven schools were reportedly, allegedly looking for an eighth to join them. And if they got their eight, they could leave the league. They could dissolve the grant of rights that are running through 2036 and find a way to force their hand out of this league, go join the SEC or the Big Ten, maybe even the Big 12 for some of these, find landing spots, but do away with the ACC. That's what was reported on Monday afternoon, right as the athletic directors and the school presidents were having meetings. So you can guess what happened next. The meetings lasted longer. I think they went over 60 minutes longer than they were supposed to. And there was a gag order of sorts. None of the ADs, none of the school presidents stopped to talk to any of the media members. Once their meeting was over, they ushered themselves out the hotel. They were gone. That was it. So then speculation began. Things were running rampant. Well, there's been some developments here on a Tuesday, and I certainly want to update you with what's happened thus far down Amelia Island. Unfortunately, I'm not down there. That'd be great if I was. It's probably very beautiful. Great time to be down there at the coast. But I'm not. So I have to rely on some very excellent reporters, and one of them, someone who I know very well and I trust to a high degree, David Hell from ESPN. And I'm just going to read you some of his tweets that came out earlier today. He said that he talked to an ACC athletic director, and this is what he wrote. Zero credence to the idea that 7 or 8 teams are looking to leave. Quote, everyone has reviewed the grant of rights, end quote. He then went on to say, very close on a revenue sharing plan that reward on-field success. Any plan would then go to the presidents for approval and would not impact television revenue. Interesting. So here's what I propose happened, first off, on Monday. I think that the Magnificent Seven, the push for 8, it was all sort of a ploy. There was some posturing going on, some grandstanding, if you will. I think the league, some of the powers that be in the league, the Clemsons, the Florida States, the North Carolinas, the Miamis, et cetera, they are pushing for unequal revenue split because they need more money. I don't know if you know this, but the SEC is about to sign a new contract. It's going to be worth probably $70 million a year for these schools. The Big Ten is going to make $80 million a year. The ACC right now is going to make about $40 million a year. So we're talking $30 to $40 million less than the conferences they're competing against. And the problem with that is maybe you don't feel it year one. Maybe you don't feel it year two. But think about this. 3 years into the ACC and Big Ten deals, they're making $100 million more than the ACC teams. So I understand why Clemson's upset. I understand why Florida State's upset. I get they need more money. And Commissioner Phillips is trying to find a way to do that. Unfortunately, they've not come up with a good way. However, I think that the Magnificent Seven and all that was reported was all strategic. It was all released at an exact moment in time to sort of force some hands. You know, call it veiled threats, if you will. But it's like, hey, if we don't find a way to come to an agreement on unequal revenue sharing, this is sort of the nuclear option here. We could dissolve the league. Now, whether or not they can actually pull that off, that's a little bit different story because you're talking about getting 8 teams to come to an agreement to leave the league when they're all out for themselves. And once they do that, they've all got to have a landing spot. Either they've got to create their own league. I don't think that's going to happen. Or they have got to join the SEC, the Big Ten, maybe the Big 12. So you got to find a landing spot for everybody. I don't think any of this is close to happening. Now, do I think the ACC could dissolve at some point? I'll get to that in a moment. Stay tuned. But based on the reporting that's come out, Michael Alford, the athletic director for Florida State, he's been very vocal. He's been sort of at the forefront of all of this stuff. You remember he went in front of his board of trustees a couple months ago and told them that the league, that they could get out of the league for $120 million. That was kind of deceiving. That was the exit fee. That doesn't include the television revenue, trying to buy your rights back from the ACC. That's a lot more money. But here's what he had to say. Alford suggests, this according to David Hill, that there are multiple models being discussed for revenue distribution, and schools still need to coalesce around one. But there are scenarios in which a school could add 10 million plus in revenue, but it would be success-based, i.e. make the playoff, etc. Michael Alford also said that he's confident the ACC is moving toward a revenue model that can keep FSU competitive and, quote, we're thrilled to be in this league and want to stay here, end quote. Does that sound like a team about to leave and jump out of the ACC? No. The league's not dissolving. Not today. Not right now. Not at this moment in time. Probably not in this calendar year. There's just too much to do. It's too difficult. Too many things to pull off. Did they set off some fire alarms, if you will, yesterday with some moves that were made? Absolutely. It was a little bit of a flex. It was saying, hey, we can get out of this thing. We'll dissolve the whole league if we have to. But I don't think these teams want to do that right now because I'm not so sure the SEC is in a position to add Clemson and FSU. Would they? Yes, I do think they would. Do they want to do it right now in the here and now? Probably not. They got to usher in Oklahoma and Texas next season. So I'm not sure they're ready to do that for a few years down the road. Would the Big Ten accept Virginia, North Carolina, which I believe is a fully packaged deal right now? I think Virginia's aligned themselves with the Tar Heels. Makes sense. They have a long-running rivalry. Probably so. But the Big Ten just added UCLA and USC. Are they in a position? They're, working on new commissioners. They're reshaping their league a little bit. Probably not in a position to do that right now. So while I think these are coveted teams and someone would want them, I think the timing stinks. And here's another reason the timing stinks. The TV market, what's going on in streaming, what's going on in live television, it's not good right now. It's a little shaky. You've got ESPN, you've got some other networks like Fox. All of these people have paid an enormous amount of money for the broadcasting rights for these leagues, whether it be the NBA or college football, whether it be the SEC, whether it be Major League Baseball, NFL, whatever. Those rights have just continued to go up, 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 and up. Less people are getting sports channels. That's a problem. And so you've seen ESPN, for instance, lay some people off, make some changes to what they're doing from a financial standpoint. I don't think they're in a position to, one, give the ACC some new deal, or B, convince, or I guess I should say, guarantee the SEC or the Big Ten or whoever. Well, they're not doing the Big Ten. They're out on that. Convincing the SEC that they're going to guarantee them more money if they were to go ahead and just quickly add Florida State and Clemson. So I think we're a little bit of a sort of a standstill here. I think you're going to have to sit and wait a little bit. I know there's a lot of Clemson fans out there, and I'm talking to you right now. You want to see your team leave the ACC. You don't want to fall behind financially. I'm telling you, $100 million after 3 years is a massive gap. It just is huge, and it's going to affect things. It's going to change the way that college football operates. Now, can you make an extra $10 million potentially? Does that help maybe ease some things a little bit? Probably so. I would hope it would. $10 million is a lot of money. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about $50 million. Well, the gap's a little more closed. Is it marginal in the long run? Yes, it is. But at least in the short term, you have an opportunity to make a little more cash. Now, do you want to push the ACC to do more? Of course you do. And the ACC wants to do more. They don't want to dissolve. Okay, it's not a league. It's a proud league. There's a lot of money, a lot of prestige, a lot of individuals involved that don't want to see this thing go under. So they're going to do whatever it takes to try to fight for it, which I completely understand. But I also get the side of Clemson right now. You don't want to fall behind. Has everybody gone through the grant of rights? No question about it. If there was a loophole out there that could get the Tigers out of this thing, that could get FSU out of this thing, they would have found it by now and they'd be gone. I feel very confident in saying that. I remember back last summer, I was at ACC kickoff, and I had never seen the mood, the vibe, as weird as it was, because there were a lot of folks. This is right after UCLA and USC had decided to jump ship from the Pac-12 and go to the Big Ten. And there was a lot of people asking, is this the last time we're here? Do we even see each other next year? The commissioner got grilled by the media about how are you going to produce more revenue? Well, how much money the Big Ten's about to make? SEC's got a new contract coming up. What are you going to do? Didn't give a lot of good, clear answers. So a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen. What's the future of the league? Short term, the future of the league's not going to change right now. It is what it is. The money is what it is. Long term, we'll see. Now, long term can vary. I don't know if I'm talking 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, but the grant of rights runs through 2036. And if you want to get out of it, not only you have to pay that exit fee, which is I think 3 times the annual revenue, you're also going to pay to buy your TV rights, because you can't leave, go to the SEC and have the SEC pay in the ACC. They're not going to do that. So you got to buy your rights back. And even if the 8 teams did dissolve the ACC, this whole thing's still going to litigation. It's still going into the courts. It's still going to be fought. There's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be a lot of lawyer fees. It's a lot of money. So even if you will that down, and it's probably close to $500 million to get completely out of the grant of rights right now here today. If you dissolve the league and you go to litigation, you're probably going to get that a little bit less. How much less? Who knows? No one can tell you that with certainty, whether it's, you're going to pay $300 million, $200 million, $150 million. Who knows? Nobody knows right now. But if there was a loophole to get everybody out of the league, or at least some teams out of the league, I'm telling you, they'd be gone. They'd be gone. They would have gone last year. It would have happened. So now you got to sit tight. Do I think Clemson is in the ACC 5 years from now? Probably not. But the landscape isn't good. The footing isn't good. The television market is not where it needs to be to make this happen right now. And these networks have overextended themselves a little bit, and they've got to reel some things back in. That's going to hurt the ACC. That's going to hurt Clemson to a certain degree. It's going to hurt Florida State and Miami. They're going to be fighting for any bit of extra dollar they can squeeze out of the limit. They're going to have to do it. It's a lot to pull off. It's going to be very difficult, but they're going to buy their time. And as the years go by and the grant of rights comes down and they get some assurances from another league that they have a full landing spot and they're going to make a guaranteed X amount of money, then maybe you see some changes. But you do that right now, man, the lawsuit's going to be huge. You're going to go to court. Even if the 8 teams dissolve the grant of rights, they're going to court over this. And they also kind of need some proof. They need to show, like if they did go to court, they need to show a judge, hey, look, the SEC and Big Ten are making so much more money than us. This is how it's affecting us. You can't prove that right now. It's all theory because it hasn't played out. So sit tight. I hate to say it for those of you who are dying to get out of the league. It's not happening today. A lot of this stuff was just posturing. It was a move to force some hands to buy into some revenue sharing model that is going to be a little bit different than what they've had. Will it work? Time will tell that. Until then, hate to tell you, you got to sit tight. Once again, please make sure you subscribe, hit the like button here on YouTube, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Do you think the ACC is dissolving? How long? Let me know. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you and get your thoughts on this and see where it all goes. But I want to thank everybody again for hanging out with me on a Tuesday evening, recapping the ACC meetings and updating on where I think things stand within the league as of right this moment. Things can change. We got to throw that in there before I get out of here. Things can change. But as of right now, I think it's a little bit of status quo with a new model of revenue coming that will hopefully help teams like Clemson get a little extra cash and compete at the highest levels. Money doesn't win championships. We've seen that. But you can't have a gap that grows to an insurmountable amount. I just don't think that's good for the game. It's not good for a school like Clemson. Stay tuned to what will happen. And stay tuned to All Clemson Tigers right here on YouTube. Go to allclemsontigers.com for all news and analysis. Thank you for hanging out with me. Hope you have a great night. Take care. See you next time.